Chapter 2816. When Luther heard this, he felt relieved and nodded slightly, looking forward to the future of the He family. But he couldn't help but sigh when he remembered Ruoli. Hey! It would have been fine if Ruoli was still here. When you consider the entire He family, your elder brother is devoted to material gain, your second brother's talent is mediocre, and your case is unique. It's one of a kind. There is no young generation that is optimistic and decisive, and who truly possesses the demeanor of a general, but if there was only one person, the entire He family, I can't think of anyone else who would be more qualified to lead the He family. Roma couldn't help but say, if Ruoli is a girl with a foreign surname, even if she is here, many people will be unconvinced if she leads the He family. Are you really not convinced? It appears that you are a mother, and you don't know anything about Ruoli, Luther sneered. Ruoli's acting style makes it impossible for someone in this family to remain unconvinced. Those stings would undoubtedly be handled by her. Even if it's your eldest brother, the thorns on his head are all clean, so it's not Ruoli's opponent. Ruoli, this girl, she was too aggressive before. Roma sighed as she remembered Ruoli's destruction of the entire Matsumoto family in Japan. The Su family, who has been using her like a knife, is also to blame. The murderous aura has built up much too far. Wait. Yes, says the speaker. Don't worry about it, Roma. I know you really don't want to give up on Ruoli, or I'll choose some people from the younger generation at home. When they're a party of 3 or 5, Luther sighed. What do you think about going out in pairs to continue looking for Ruoli's whereabouts? Dad, let's forget it, Roma said after a brief pause. Let's go see Master in Aurous Hill. We should set Ruoli's affairs aside for now. If we're searching for her it will be distracting. Roma couldn't contain herself on a few occasions and wanted to tell her father about her daughter Ruoli's current condition. This would reassure and console the father. More importantly, if the father really wants her to succeed the patriarch in the future, her mother will be 10,000 willing to help. If the father was aware of Ruoli's condition, he could make preparations ahead of time. She swallowed the words every time they reached her mouth. She believed that because she had agreed to Master's request for confidentiality, she would not make an exception, even though it was her own parent, because otherwise there would be no honesty. She reasoned that once the old man had gone to Aurous Hill and Master Wade had gotten to know him better, he could allow Ruoli to meet him privately. Luther, on the other hand, was unconcerned. Go to Anson, and explain stuff as soon as possible, he said after checking the time. Dad, if the Su family is to blame, what are you going to do? Roma asked, nodding. If the Su family is a part of the family, it is naturally difficult to extract energy to deal with us, Luther said calmly. Furthermore, since we are aligned with Master Wade, we do not need to be concerned about the Su family pursuing us. We could even tear up the face first if the Master family gives us an order to deal with the Su family. People are, after all, the masters. This is the world's rule. I understand, Dad, Roma said with a sigh of relief. Someone knocked on the door outside the study while he was speaking. Come in, Luther said. Dad, you haven't finished talking here, Tom said to Luther as he opened the door and looked at Roma suspiciously. Steward Su has woken up and is eating breakfast, saying he wants to meet you to discuss the particular situation. It just so happens that I have something important to find him, Luther said, nodding. Let's go together. In the middle chuckles and murmurs, important thing. What is the most important thing? Isn't that after a long conversation with Roma? That's $2 billion a year. Dad, what do you want to find Steward Su for? He hurriedly asked tentatively, thinking of this. Hasn't there been any progress in the cooperation? Luther cast a look at him, seeing his eldest son's anxious expression, his appearance having lost $2 billion, and he couldn't help but feel disgusted. The lion is said to be the progenitor of the dragon, and the phoenix is said to be the progenitor of the phoenix. I've always been obsessed with martial arts and have never yearned for so-called fame and fortune. What? He said angrily, thinking about it. Are you concerned about shifts in collaboration? Dad, the terms of cooperation offered by the Su family this time are uncommon in a lifetime, Tom hurriedly said. Don't get a case of the flu or make rash decisions. Huh, snorted Luther coldly. Is it prudent for you to pass judgment? To be honest, I have chosen not to work with the Su family any longer. Now I'm going to tell Anson in person about this decision. When Tom heard this, his whole person was suddenly struck by lightning. He hurriedly stopped in front of his father, with an anxious tone, and even said incoherently, "Dad, no Dad. We can't refuse this cooperation from the Sioux family anyway, it's a matter of the life and death for our family, Dad." Luther couldn't help frowning and asking, "Joke. I don't want to cooperate with Sioux family, so why does it matter for the life and death of my He family? Cooperation has been our wish for a long time. Since I don't want to cooperate with him, then he still pays. Can this force me to fail?" Tom almost collapsed and blurted out, "Oh, Dad. Why are you so confused? What is the size of the Sioux family? How can we afford to provoke them? If we toast and not eat good and drink fine wine, then in the future, once the Sioux family sees us as the enemy, how can we gain a foothold in the arena?" Luther immediately scolded, "Tom. In your eyes, if my He family leaves the Sioux family, isn't it possible to have a foothold in the rivers and lakes? Don't forget, my family is one of the 4 major martial arts families in the country. When this family is ranked among the top 4 martial arts families in the country, nothing can this Sioux family do to us." Tom didn't expect his father's attitude to be so determined. He turned his head and gritted his teeth and glared at Roma, and sternly said, "Roma. What kind of ecstasy did you give to father? Do you know what a good opportunity is before us? If we miss such a good opportunity, then you are the sinner of the He family." Luther couldn't bear it and shouted angrily, "Enough. Shut up now." Tom was shocked by his father's voice. Luther looked at him coldly, and hated that iron cannot become steel, and said, "I didn't expect that I could raise a son with such a soft bone. Tom, it is my decision not to cooperate with the Sioux family, and I will never change it again. Say one more thing, I will punish you for a month of lockdown." Tom suddenly felt 5 thunderstorms. He knew that what he missed was a huge sum of $2 billion a year. This money could allow him to live the most luxurious life in the world. What luxury houses, yachts, airplanes. With this money, it is no longer a dream. What is Sonia's villa? With $2 billion, he can buy a villa in Hong Kong, buy a villa in the United States, buy a villa in France and Switzerland. With $2 billion, he can buy a luxury cruise ship with everything he needs to travel around the world. With $2 billion, he can buy a private jet and go where he wants to go 24 hours a day. At that time, he still needs to guard a small and cold place like Mocheng. Until then, how could he still be holding back in this extremely cold place? The pinnacle of life, but so. However, all these beautiful dreams lasted only one night, and they were completely shattered before the sun had even come out this morning. Seeing that he had lost his soul, Luther sighed with a sigh, then waved his hand and said to Roma, "Roma, let me see Anson." Roma nodded hurriedly, "Okay, Dad." Seeing his father and sister walking away, Tom hurriedly followed. At this moment, he had already made a decision deep in his heart. Since his father was stubborn, he would just separate from him. At that time, he will take away all the He family who are willing to cooperate with the Sioux family and who are willing to leave Mocheng to enjoy the glory and wealth. At this time, Anson was eating breakfast leisurely in the dining hall of the He family. The He family has a large population in a large dining area. Hundreds of people can eat in this dining hall at the same time. Anson was holding a bowl of ballast porridge at this time while sucking into his mouth. While chewing on the slightly hard corn ballast with relish, he said something in his mouth. "I didn't expect the porridge made from this coarse grains to have a different flavor." After speaking, he picked up a fist-sized meat bun and bit it down. While his mouth was full of oil, he also bit out the meat that was bigger than a ping-pong ball inside. "It's delicious, delicious." Anson looked relished, and he was very happy. This time he came out, he quickly and smoothly completed the task that the master confided, and helped the master solve the urgent need, which can be regarded as a triumphant victory. Therefore, it is natural to be in a good mood. He is now only waiting for the convoy to arrive and take the He family to Suzhou. By then, the master will be able to breathe a sigh of relief. Thinking positively, Luther and Roma walked over quickly. As soon as Anson looked up and saw the two of them, he was a little surprised and smiled with a somewhat flattering smile. "Oh, how old. Ouch. Roma is back too. It's great. I can invite Roma again this time. Master, he will be very happy when Roma comes out of the mountain." Anson didn't look down on the He family too much. In his eyes, the He family were just the subordinates of the Sue family, and they were only subordinates who could gain a foothold by fighting and killing. As for himself, although he is also a subordinate, least he is also in the top spot among subordinates. In other words, the Sue family has so many dogs, and he is the noblest one. However, he only took a look at Roma, because after all, Roma is the woman of Zin, the eldest son of the Sue family. Although she has no status, at least she has given birth to a daughter for Zin, so he is naturally a little more polite to Roma. More importantly, Zin's wife, Leona, has made up her mind to divorce Zin, and after the car accident planned by his father, she will definitely draw a clear line with the Sue family. In this way, Roma can appear openly. Where is it the need to hide anymore? In case Zin returns someday, maybe there will be a follow-up with Roma. It is precise because of this that Anson has a somewhat flattering attitude to Roma. When Roma saw Anson, she greeted him coldly and warmly, "Hello, Steward Sue." Anson smiled and said hurriedly, "Roma, we have not seen each other for some years." She nodded. "Yes, it's been some years." Anson smiled and said, "I didn't expect even you to come out of the mountain again this time." "What a surprise." Luther on the side said lightly, "Anson, please report to Master Sue after you go back. The He family can't cooperate with the Sue family this time. Please ask Master Sue to forgive us." Anson heard this and asked dumbfounded, "Old He, who are you singing for again? The bus convoy is coming soon." Luther handed over the 1 billion yuan check to Anson, earnestly said, "I have already said very clearly. The He family cannot cooperate with the Sue family this time. In other words, we will not go with you today. So, please take this money back to Master, please." Anson suddenly became anxious, and blurted out, "Hey old man, you can't make a mistake. Let me ask you, how can you change your mind all of a sudden when the arrangements have been made?" At this time, Luther's eldest son Tom also grumbled, "Dad. The housekeeper Sue is right. Our He family has always kept our promises, and we never break our promise, let alone turn back this time." Luther said coldly, "Tom, you don't have to try to persuade me here, I have decided, and I will never change it." After that, he looked at Anson, clasped his fists, and said, "Mr. Anson, wait for the car to come in a while. Please, I will trouble you to go back with the car yourself, the old man will stay here, I am extremely sorry." Anson's heart raced when he saw Luther's resolute attitude. He had no idea why the old man Luther had suddenly changed his mind, and he had no idea how he could approach old Sue when he returned. "Mr. He, you are still not satisfied with money. It does not matter, if you are not satisfied, you can simply ask it. Our master said that 2 billion is only an intention price, however, if Mr. He is not satisfied with the bid, he can still increase it by 3 billion in the future, what do you think?" Tom on the side was almost insane when he heard 3 billion. He doesn't have time to consider the concept of 3 billion, so he can only say to himself in his heart that he can directly multiply the original illusion of 2 billion by half. Luxury homes all over the world can be upgraded to larger homes, and luxury yachts can be upgraded as well. Half the price of a private jet should be half the price. Tom stared at his father with bloodshot eyes, blurting out, "Father. What are you still hesitating about? This is 3 billion. Luther screamed coldly, "Even if 30 billion, I refuse." Anson was taken aback. Initially, it was assumed that if Luther was not happy with the 3 billion quotations, he would increase it slightly. However, it appears that there is no longer any need to raise. He nodded heavily and said, "Okay. Okay. What's your condition?" As his face darkened. After all, he pointed to Luther, clenched his teeth, and said, Old man, toast not to eat or drink fine wine. I will write down this account for the master first. If the Sioux return to the original and profitable in the future, then they can get 1,000 times better than this. If you want to recall, Luther said sternly, I, Luther, am never afraid of anything. He patted the table after speaking and said coldly, let's go. Let me see you off. No need. Gritted Anson's teeth and exclaimed, I'll go by myself. He gave Luther a sour look as he finished speaking and walked out of the dining room without looking back. Dad, are you crazy? We can't insult the Sioux family, exclaimed Tom, stomping nervously. I am the head of the He family, and I will bear all the consequences, Luther said coldly. Tom realized he couldn't convince his father, so he turned and ran after Anson. Anson had come to the outside of the He family mansion in anger, and a convoy of several buses and trucks had just passed by. Anson stepped forward as soon as the car in front of him came to a stop and said to the driver, "Just me, go to the airport." Tom rushed all the way to the front of the car, leaning against the door frame, and said to Anson above, "Steward Sue, you calm down. Can you hold your breath?" Anson asked, glaring at Tom, albeit a little enraged. "Your He family is now able to handle it. Let's see. Steward Sue, listen to me, my father is old and stubborn, give me some time, and I will convince him. I will certainly give you a satisfactory response." Tom exclaimed hurriedly, "Come on, Tom, what is the character of your old man? I know very well that if you can convince him, you will be the patriarch of the He family instead of him. He is still in his 80s, and refusing to pass it to you means he doesn't trust your ability. If he doesn't trust you, how will he listen to your persuasion?" Anson said dismissively. Anson's words made Tom blush. Anson's words are not without any merit, despite the fact that he intentionally sows discord. Luther has not passed on the role of patriarch to Tom because he does not trust his strength, and even less so his determination. For a long time, Tom has been critical of this. He knew he would be the prince if he were transported to ancient times, but which emperor abdicated until he was in his 80s? Isn't it obvious that the prince must be forced to rebel? As a result, his heart exploded with rage when he heard Anson's words. "Steward Sue, you are correct, I just can't convince my father," he said coldly shortly after. Tom turned around and exclaimed, "Still I can convince myself to move my own legs." Anson's eyes widened when he realized this, and he blurted out, "Tom, what do you mean by this?" "It's very easy," Tom exclaimed, "my father is unwilling to cooperate with the Sue family, but I am. My cultivation is second only to the old man in the He family, and I have 2 sons and a horde of people willing to follow me. As long as Master Sue can look down on us, I am willing to take them and return to Master Sue." Anson was ecstatic. "The old thing with the surname, he is too stubborn, it's hard to convince him to change his mind, he secretly says, but this Tom seems to be genuine. If he really has a following and can take them to Suzhou, serving the Lord, then my mission this time isn't a complete failure." He instantly changed his mood, grinned, and said to Tom, "Haha, Tom, come in." He took the initiative after speaking to reach out his hand and pull Tom. In the He family mansion at the time, Luther has informed the entire family that the Sue family's cooperation will be fully ended. The He family, who had decided to leave early in the morning for Suzhou, would no longer have to worry about it. Luther took Roma to the ancestral hall, which was located at the tomb of the He family's ancestors, after announcing the news. He decided to directly inform the He family's ancestors about the great news that he had broken through the 4 meridians. The He family, on the other hand, was both pleased and sad when it was revealed that he had refused to work with the Sue family. In reality, no family can ever be fully united. Every small family, if not anyone, owns a small abacus. The fact that the desire to manage with the old man is relatively high and the majesty is relatively strong, and no one in the entire He family dares to disobey him, is the key reason why there have never been any disagreements over the years. However, as the adage goes, stealing money is the same as murdering your parents. Many people in this world place higher importance on money than on family love. In other words, most people would betray their family love if the price is right and psychological needs are met. It's just that everyone's internal price code is different. Since certain economic conditions are difficult, parents may be able to spend 1,000 to 2,000 yuan a month on pensions, allowing them to turn their backs on their brothers and sisters and remain disconnected. Those whose economic circumstances are too good may seem pleasant on the surface, but once the fight for vast riches starts, everybody will do everything in their power to compete with their loved ones. Now, Luther has turned down the Sue family's offer of 2 billion or even 3 billion in cooperation, effectively separating the entire He family from this vast sum of money. Some people are unconcerned with money, while others are obsessed with it. And those who care can't wait to drink the old man's blood and eat his flesh. Mr. He simply has the greatest majesty and cultivation foundation, and no one can provoke him, so they can only dare to be angry and not dare to talk. However, in this situation, Tom met with a few brothers and a few uncles in the fastest time. After some lobbying by him, almost half of the people were willing to go to Suzhou to serve the Su family with him. Just as Luther personally lit 3 sandalwood incense in front of each ancestor's spiritual position, his youngest son Tim ran over and reported loudly outside the door, "Dad, it's not good. Big brother brought 40 or 50 family members. They all are ready to go to Suzhou with Anson." When the He family heard the news that Luther has announced that he had broken through the 4th meridian, everyone was astonished for a moment, and then, there was a burst of almost crazy cheers. Breaking through the 4 meridians means becoming a 4-star warrior. Throughout China, the title of 4-star warrior has not appeared in nearly 100 years. To them, hearing this news is as exciting as the news of the success of the first atomic bomb that the Chinese people heard back then. Back then, China successfully developed an atomic bomb, which meant that the country no longer had to face nuclear threats from nuclear countries, and at the same time, they had strong self-protection capabilities. Now, Luther has successfully broken through the 4th meridian, which is almost equivalent to the He family possessing an atomic bomb. Just a few minutes ago, everyone present was worried about the future fate of the He family because of Tom and the others. But now, they have completely ignored Tom's problem. Because from now on, the He family will take a big step forward and become the top martial arts family in the country. Luther's youngest son, Tim, was extremely excited. He blurted out, "Dad, did you go to the ancestral hall early in the morning to report your breakthrough to the ancestors?" Luther nodded. "Yes, just now, I have already reported to all the ancestors of the He family. I believe that the ancestors will be proud of my success." Tim couldn't help but sigh. "Dad, why didn't you announce this news earlier? If the eldest brother knows that you have made such a major breakthrough, he might not be tempted by the conditions set by the Su family." Luther said lightly, "Fortunately, I didn't announce it in advance, otherwise how could I know his wolf ambition?" After speaking, Luther sighed and said, "Well, everyone has their own ambitions. As long as he doesn't threaten to harm our He family's interests in the future, I will stay with him in the future." Tim also knew that what his father said was reasonable, so he stopped insisting too much. Luther's eldest brother, Robert said, "Luther, when will you announce the news of your breakthrough in the 4th meridian?" Luther thought for a while, and said, "Let's announce it now, and inform all martial artists of this matter publicly, and also declare that from now on, the He family will no longer accept solicitations from anyone, and his house in Mocheng will be closed from now on to entertain any visitors again." In the martial arts family, there is an unwritten rule that once someone in a family with a name and a surname breaks through 3 or more meridians, it must be advertised among the martial arts people. Luther is no exception this time. Moreover, he knew very well that once the outside world knew that he had broken through the 4th meridian, a large number of people would come to visit Mocheng after hearing the wind. Among them, not only fellows come to congratulate, but also scattered martial arts people come to apprentice, and there are also many families like the Su family who came to solicit. Therefore, he let people explain in advance that the He family no longer accepts solicitation and no longer treats foreign guests. This is tantamount to shutting out all the above possible people. The reason for this decision was that Luther had already thought clearly in his heart that the future of the He family was actually pinned on Master Wade. Therefore, the most important thing for him is to serve him with all his strength. As for other people, there is no need to waste his energy and the energy of the He family. Robert was very puzzled and couldn't help asking, "Luther, in the past, some people broke through the 3 meridians. Almost all martial arts families would send people with gifts. Among the martial arts people, the limelight is naturally the same. But when we close the door at this time, will it look too different?" Luther said earnestly, "Brother, I was able to make such a major breakthrough. Thanks to the help of a noble person, all He family will look forward to this nobleman in the future, and this nobleman will give He family a lot of very scarce training resources in the future. Believe me, this will definitely benefit the whole He family. Maybe in a few years, the next person who breaks through the 3 meridians will appear in the He family, or maybe in a few years, there will be the next breakthrough like me. People of the 4 meridians, by then, the strength of our He family will be different." Robert immediately nodded when he heard this, and said excitedly, "In this case, I will wait for nature to listen to your instructions." The remaining people, regardless of age or sex, are very loyal to the He family and Luther, so at this time Luther makes any decision, they will support him. Luther also realized that after the eldest son took the group of people away, when he made major decisions, he lost a lot of voices of opposition or doubts, which also made him realize the importance of the team's unity. The current He family will no longer face endless internal friction as before. On the contrary, the current family will twist into a rope and work together to achieve greater achievements. Thinking of this, he couldn't help getting excited deep in his heart, and said, "That's right. There is one more thing to announce to the public. All those who leave the He family will not be allowed to come back. From now on, the door of the He family will not open to the people who left." Just as Tom took a large group of He family to the airport by bus, the martial arts field suddenly caused an uproar. The He family announced that Luther, the head of the He family, successfully broke through the fourth meridian. As soon as this news came out, it immediately detonated the entire domestic martial arts field. At present, among the hundreds of thousands of martial arts practitioners in China, 90% have just opened up one meridian. Those who can get through the two meridians account for 9.999% of the remaining 10%. There are only 5 people known in the country who can get through the 3 meridians and become a 3-star warrior. Moreover, these 5 people are all in the sequence of the 4 major families. Except for the Northwest Huo family who owns 2 3-star warriors, there is only one of the remaining 3 families, including the He family. As for the 4 meridians, there was no one before Luther. In other words, he is currently the only martial artist in China who has broken through the 4 meridians. This also means that Luther became the first person in the martial arts field in the country. Originally, everyone on the bus was still looking forward to a new life after arriving in Suzhou. At this moment, don't know who shouted, "Second uncle, he has broken through the 4 meridians." What? Everyone knows that Luther is the second of his brothers, so the second uncle is naturally him. In an instant, the He family in the bus suddenly exploded. Before Tom recovered, the phone exploded. A large number of colleagues sent news to him and his father. Tom saw the news and his whole body was struck by lightning. He never dreamed that he had just broken with his father on the front foot, and his 80-year-old father on the back foot made an achievement directly. Being very sensitive to money, he almost immediately realized that the He family was bound to rise to power from then on. Tom was very annoyed at the thought of his father's announcement when he had just left on his front foot, and he thought to himself, no wonder the old guy repented temporarily. It turned out to be a breakthrough in martial arts. I am his eldest son. He broke through such an important thing, but he didn't tell me. This is outrageous. Just when Tom was full of resentment, someone in the car shouted angrily, "The He family has announced to the public that anyone who leaves will not be allowed to go back." For a while, everyone was shocked. They didn't expect that they would abandon the He family and raise another branch, but they did not expect that the He family gave them a trick to draw their salaries. Now, they are abandoned sons of the He family. Elder Su, who was far away in Suzhou, was also very depressed. This morning, he heard almost all bad news one after another. At first, Luther suddenly turned back. Then, it was Luther who suddenly became the #1 martial artist in China. The most painful thing is that something that originally belongs to him became better after not belonging to him. For example, a girl who once looked down on an ex-boyfriend suddenly became a master after a breakup, and then married the most beautiful girl. The girl might be depressed for a lifetime. Although Changfeng has no love for Luther. Luther was originally a subordinate of the Su family and served the family. To put it ugly, he was a dog of the Su family. But now, he has turned against the family, and his strength has doubled after turning against the head. How can this not be depressing? Changfeng now feels that the world seems to be against him. He wanted to betray Ruoli, but she just disappeared. The Japanese rummaged the coast of Japan, but she could not be found. He wanted to kill Leona, but she was rescued by a powerful mysterious man. He wanted to kill her to protect the reputation of the family, but he didn't expect that the reputation of the family was not successfully maintained. On the contrary, he became infamous and embarrassed. Everyone yelled and beat the rat crossing the street. Now the He family has made such a big move again, which makes his heart very uncomfortable. In addition to these, his second son and eldest son have disappeared one after another, and the Chinese master who saved his grandchildren in Japan has also become a huge potential threat to him. Thinking of this, Changfeng muttered to himself with extreme depression, I lifted a rock by myself, hit my own foot, a stone fell from the sky, and the dam hit my own foot. There is still a master in the dark, constantly moving. I picked up a stone and smashed it on my foot. I tossed and tossed, except for loss or pain. I didn't get any benefits. What the FCUK is that? While being so depressed, his cell phone rang suddenly. The call was an unfamiliar number from Aurous Hill. He hurriedly connected, only to hear a man on the other end say coldly, I have arrived in Aurous Hill. This is my latest contact information. Within the next 7 days, I will stay here and try to find what you are looking for. If I can't find him within 7 days, I will go back to the UK directly. The deposit you paid will not be refunded. When Changfeng heard this voice, he blurted out with excitement, Oh, Master Carey. You have finally arrived in Aurous Hill. You must be very tired after traveling all the way from the UK. Would you like to rest for a few days? The other party said coldly, No, I will start to do things right away. If you have any valuable clues, you can tell me. Changfeng hurriedly said, Master, things have made a little progress. I didn't have any clues about the mysterious person, but now I probably know that this person is of Japanese-Chinese descent, and he is not very old, at most 27 to 28. He is about the age, but his strength is extraordinary. It is said that even the Japanese ninja is not his opponent. He can deal with several by himself. Master, be careful. The other party said disdainfully, What's so great about Japanese ninjas? It's like someone who has never killed a ninja. I think there was a Japanese ninja who had offended me back then. He was really strong. I would definitely not be his opponent when facing. So what? He didn't know it, so he was poisoned by the poison I raised, and in his sleep, I personally cut his stomach with a ninja knife. When he died, his internal organs flowed out. It is said that his wife saw at the time, she was scared to death. Changfeng said in surprise, I have long heard that Master Carey's methods are extraordinary. Since you have such skills, then I can be completely relieved. I am waiting for the good news of Master Carey's victory in Suzhou. The other party snorted and said, I declare that someone likes killing people invisible, and likes to kill masters the most. I like to see those so-called masters who die unclearly in my hands, but they continue to die. They don't know why they died. This feeling, like a god, can control everything. Changfeng was so excited that he blurted out and asked, Master Carey, can you kill a 4-star warrior? 4-star warrior? The other party asked in surprise, do you know a 4-star warrior? As far as I know, there are no 4-star warriors in the country for a long time, right? Changfeng gritted his teeth and said, Yes, one just came out this morning. The other party smiled, and said, 4-star warriors are not easy to kill. If you want me to try, you can double the money to me. The extremely depressed and extremely angry Changfeng's heart had already burned him uncomfortably. Hearing this, he said without hesitation, Master, money is not a problem, but you have to kill the Aurous Hill master first. The other party hummed and said, Don't worry, I will kill him first, and then I will talk to you about the 4-star warrior. After that, he directly hung up the phone to convenience. The Master Carey mentioned by Changfeng is a metaphysical master who he commissioned from the UK. China has had a line of metaphysics since ancient times. Feng Shui mysteries, Qigong insects, and even the Book of Changes, Bagua, and Kimon-Dunjia belong to the line of metaphysics. However, due to the vast land and resources of China, the customs, habits, and preferences of different regions are different, so metaphysics is generally more prosperous in the south. In particular, Hong Kong has been the bridgehead for the development of metaphysics in the past 200 years. In Hong Kong, Feng Shui masters and metaphysical masters are not feudal superstitions believed by the poor. On the contrary, the richer the person, the more obsessed they are with Feng Shui metaphysics. There are many top wealthy people in Hong Kong who are worth over hundreds of billions or even over 100 billion US dollars. These people, without exception, believe in metaphysics very much. Not only the top wealthy believe that, but even the stars in the entertainment circle are also extremely fond of Feng Shui metaphysics. Carey started his career in Hong Kong and grew up to become the most famous master of metaphysics on Hong Kong Island. and even became the Queen Master of the Hong Kong Li family. More than 10 years ago, the Li family wanted to transfer funds and business to the UK, so they invited him to go to the UK. Carey didn't want to stay trapped on a small Hong Kong island, so he went to the UK and established his own clan. In the past 10 years of Carey in the UK, relying on the resources of the Li family, he has indeed made considerable progress. Not only did he make a lot of money, but he also recruited many disciples. However, he did not expect that the Li family made major mistakes in strategic direction in recent years, so that while the wealth continued to shrink, the reputation was getting worse and worse, and he was likely to become a mouse on the street. This caused Carey to suffer as well. He does not understand feng shui luck himself, and he is good at miao zhang ji yu technique and some insidious things that harm others and self. After he started to behave like a man, the Li family immediately drew a line with him, so that Carey's income in recent years was straight decline. Now he is running out to make money by himself. This time, Chungfeng asked someone to find him, offered him a price of £100 million, and asked him to come to Aurous Hill to kill someone. Carey had never used the insidious methods he had learned to harm people in his entire life, so faced with such a high reward, naturally, without any hesitation, he just packed up and rushed over from England. However, although this task is rewarded a lot, it is relatively tricky. The most nonsense is that he still doesn't know who he is going to kill. In the past, when he helped others to do things, they would directly tell him the information about the competitors he wanted to target. For example, the other party's surname, birth date, ancestor, and even the ancestral tomb will be investigated first, and then he will start directly after he gets the information. This time, Chungfeng didn't know the specific clues of the mysterious master, so he could only ask Carey to come over and let him use his metaphysical methods to find the person first, and then kill him. After a day and night of flying, Xin finally arrived in Syria. Unlike Charlie, he has the benefits of taking a Concorde airliner. He can only fly all the way to the Middle East. After landing in Turkey, he took the road to cross the border overnight and into northern Syria. When Xin set foot on Syrian soil, he even had the desire to die. Because he entered the country illegally, the vehicle dragged him all the way to avoid the city, so that he was shocked by this desolate country. This devastated country is full of deserts, hills, and ruined villages and towns. The endless deserts and mountains immediately reminded him of an ancient poem, "The desert is lonely and smoked." After going deep into Syria for 100 kilometers, he realized in his heart that if Charlie doesn't nod his head, then he would not be able to leave Syria in his life, not to mention that he didn't know anyone here. Just because of the face. That is very different from the surroundings, it is destined to be difficult to get out of this country. Thinking of this, he was desperate deep in his heart. He thought that his despair had penetrated into the Mariana Trench, and when it was impossible to be more desperate, he finally reached the armed zone occupied by Commander Hamid. When the car drove into the valley, the fortifications on the mountains on both sides were being built in full swing. Hamid's friend, who worked in a construction team in Iraq, for the sake of money, arrived in Syria in just over 10 hours. He has now begun to command his workers and the engineering company that Hamid had just formed last night. Work together and hurry up to build fortifications. Xin looked at the desolate valley in front of him, the soldiers with live ammunition around him, and the permanent fortifications being actively built, and he was crying deep in his heart. What the hell is this place? Located in the middle of 10,000 mountains, traffic is extremely blocked, and the level of development is far below that of a small mountain village in China. I don't know, I thought this was the base area behind enemy lines during the War of Resistance against Japan.